morning, children. Today we are going to start with another very important lesson. The name of the lesson is Rattrap. The lesson is written by Selma Lagerlof. Selma Lagerlof was a Sweden writer, and she was the only writer and the first writer who received the Nobel Prize in the year 1909. So Selma Lagerlof was born in the year 1858 and died in the year 1940. Was a Swedish writer whose stories have been translated into many languages. This story is set in the middle of the mines of Sweden, which are rich in iron ore. The story is narrated in the manner of a fairy tale. It gives the message that the emotions of love and acceptance can reform others. She was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, which she was awarded in the year 1909. Additionally, she was the first woman to be granted a membership in the Sweden Academy in 1914. This lesson deals with the many themes, and one of the theme is the essential goodness of human being. It also tells a lot of other things also. Let us see what are the themes. The story is about an old disheartened peddler who is taken in and shown generosity by a young woman named Edla Wilmanson. Her generosity and kindness change his bitter attitude towards life. The peddler is a man who has fallen upon misfortune and now resorts to selling rattraps, begging and thievery. He is very pessimistic about the world around him and sees the world as merely a rattrap. He believes that society tempts us with the richest, fine things, and we accept we are caught in the trap and are left with nothing. The story conveys a universal message that the essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through love, respect, kindness, and understanding. It highlights the human predicament. Material benefits are the traps that most human beings are prone to fall. Human beings do have a tendency to redeem themselves from dishonest ways, as it does the peddler at the end of the story. Now let us see the setting of the story, the setting or the background. This story is set amidst the mines of Sweden. Sweden, which is one of the richest country in the Europe, which is this particular place of Sweden is very rich in iron ore, which figure largely in the story of that country. And in this story also we'll find this actually tells about a particular industry or the iron work belongs to Ramsu. The story is told somewhat in a manner of fairy tale. So there are almost 9 characters, active and passive, and the major character here is the peddler or the stranger. So he is the protagonist. Let us see how he works and what are the characteristics of the peddler. The protagonist and the central character of the story is an unnamed man who lives as a tramp, wandering the countryside and selling the traps, which he makes out of wire in his spare time. He is the central character of the story is an unnamed man who lives as a tramp wandering to the countryside and selling the traps. Because he doesn't make enough money from this to survive, the Rattrap peddler also engages in petty thievery and begging, though even with this he still wears only rags and is constantly on the verge of starvation. At the start of the story, the peddler is cynical and opportunistic. He has a difficult lot in life, takes whatever he can get and trusts no one. He even steals money from the crofter. After the old man offers him his hospitality, indeed, it seems that the peddler's only pleasure in life comes from thinking of the world as one lure's cruel Rattrap and ruminating on other people he knows who have been ensnared or entrapped. After experiencing true kindness from Adla, however, the peddler seems to change his mindset. He returns the stolen money and declares that he wants to be nice, having been freed from the trap of life by Adla's compassion and generosity. The peddler's transformation shows Lagerlof's idea of the latent potential for goodness in all human beings. The second character we have is the crofter. He is a very old man. Earlier he worked in Ramso ironwork. Now it is his only cow which actually helps him to survive. He used to be the crofter at Ramso's ironwork, but now survives by selling the milk from his extraordinary cow. The old man is kind and generous, but the peddler repays his generosity by stealing 30 kroner from him after the crofter shows him where he keeps the money. The next very important character in our lesson is Adla Williamson. Really, many characters in our life comes that actually becomes very transforming, very magnetic personality. And Adla Williamson was also the same, the daughter of the iron master. Adla is described as not at all pretty, but modest and quite shy. She is exceptionally kind, convincing the peddler to come to her house and then convincing her father to let the peddler stay for Christmas Eve, even when he is revealed not actually be the captain von Stanley. Adla is also wise and perceptive, as she can immediately tell that the peddler is afraid and has probably committed some crime that he is running from. She is the most positive figure in the story, and her compassion and generosity are the reason for the peddler's transformation. Then we will see another very vital and dominating character, that is Iron Master. He is the owner of Ramso's ironwork. So the man who owns Ramso's ironwork and the father of Adla Williamson. Described as a very prominent iron master, he stops by to watch the work at his forge every day and night and inspect the quality of his product. The iron master was into the military in his younger days, as he mistakes the peddler for his old regimental comrade, Captain Wonstein. Then we find some other minor characters, and one of the minor characters is the apprentice and the blacksmith, and there is in the background there is Captain Von Stele, but it is a very passive character, and the peddler was thought to be Captain Von Stele, and towards the end we will see that. So the peddler assumes this particular character, Captain Von Stele, because it was Adla Williamson who raised him to the position of the captain. Then let us see the gist of the lesson. My dear children, in this lesson, what we will see? We will see that the whole life is regarded as being a rat trap. Rat trap, as you know, it is a particular device by which the rat are entrapped. So in the similar manner, there are a lot of things in the world, like the riches, the comfort, the houses, all these material things are just like the base that is put in the rat trap. That means the whole life is assumed to be a rat trap, and the person who is tempted, then life actually is over for him, and he's entrapped, and it will be the condition of just like the rat trap. Therefore, we will see now the gist of the lesson in the form of the points. Let us see. So, in the beginning of the lesson, we see the vagabond. Vagabond is a person who has no house, no home. He walks from place to place. He is having no relative or other. He is a very lonely character. Let us see the points now. The peddler was a vagabond who sold a trap with a little thievery on the other side to make both ends meet. Had no worldly possessions to call his own, not even a name. It assumed very significant importance when he thinks that the whole world is a rat. Takes shelter at a crofter's cottage. The crofter welcomed him, gave him dinner, shared his pipe, played rumoses with him, also confided in him about his income and showed him where he put that money or kroner. Next morning, the peddler steals the money and take the route that take him to the forest. While he wanders into the forest, he realizes that he has also got caught into the trap and that the money was the bait. Finally, he reaches Ramos's ironwork where he takes a shelter for the night. The blacksmith and his assistant ignore him, but the master mistook him to be an old acquaintance and invites him home. Though the peddler doesn't correct the iron master, hoping to get some money out of him, he declines his invitation. The iron master then sends his daughter Adela Wilmanson, who persuaded him to go home with her. She notices his uncouth appearance and thinks that either he has stolen something or he has escaped from the jail. The peddler is scrubbed, bathed, given a haircut, a shave, and a suit of old clothes of the iron master. In the morning light, the iron master realizes he is mistaken and that he is not Captain Von Sterling. He wants to call the sheriff. The peddler is agitated and breaks out that the world is a trap and he too is sure to be caught in it. The iron master is amused, but orders him out. The compassionate Adela convinces her father that he should spend the Christmas day with him. The peddler spent the whole of Christmas Eve eating and sleeping. The next day at church, Adela and her friend come to know that the peddler is a thief who has stolen 30 kroner from the poor and old crofter. Back home, they found a letter addressed to Adela Wilmanson, signed as Captain Von Stele and a Rattrap as a gift from the crofter. Gift from the Rattrap seller, not the crofter. In the Rattrap were three 10 kroner notes of the crofter. So, my dear children, so after reading this lesson, we come to understand the full lesson. We begin to relate this lesson to our life. We also begin to understand what is compassion and generosity. How does compassion and generosity can transform human life? And more particularly, we also come to understand the human psychology, the essential goodness, and the tendency to do wrong, and the reason behind it. So these are the some of the important questions that you need to write. So I'll be reading out the question. Why did the paddler think that the world was a rat trap? Means that this question is, so you will have to tell about the metaphor of the rat trap and how the bait worked, and then how this world was beautifully or metaphorically compared to the rat trap. You will have to give the answer. Why did the paddler derive pleasure from his idea of the world as a rat trap? So this particular part you will see that this is the sadistic pleasure. This is the opportunistic aspect of the rat trap seller, because he was not happy. Nobody was kind or considerate to him. So he did not get a kind word from anybody. Therefore, the world was very harsh or rough towards him, and therefore, if any familiar person is entrapped, then it amused him or it gave him unwanted joy. This is the answer. So in this way we will be answering this question number 3. Why did the paddler knock on the cottage by the roadside? How was he treated by the owner of the cottage? Next question. Why did Edla plead with her father not to send the vagabond away? What conclusion did the ironmaster reach when he heard that the crofter had been robbed by the paddler? Next question, number 6. What was the content of the letter written by Edla Wilmanson to paddler to Edla Wilmanson? The question number 6. What is the content of the letter written by the paddler to Edla Wilmanson? So there are some long questions. The long questions you will also have to write the long question. The word limit is 120 to 150, and you will be writing it within 4 to 5 paragraphs in beautiful words. And as you know, the pattern of the question changes. Therefore, it is very much mandatory that you will be preparing the MCQs also. So some of the MCQs are given here. Some 19, 22, 30, 40 MCQ questions are given here. So answer also given. Therefore, it will be quite easier for you. So the first one is, who is the author of the Rattrap? Then you will have to tell the author of the Rattrap is Selma Lagerlof. Then let us come to the last question. Last question is, why did Edla plead for the vagabond? Why did Edla plead her father not to send the vagabond away? So see that the answers: because of his father, because of father's friend, because of his resemblance to his father's friend, because of sympathy, and his poor life condition. Therefore, answer will certainly be D, because it is the sympathy, or it is the sympathy. It is because of the sympathy. It is the generosity of Edla Wilmanson that she pleaded to her father in favor of the vagabond. So this is the end of the lesson, my dear children. We will meet you in the next lesson. Till then, bye bye. Have a good day.